Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine began on the 24th of February 2022.
The Russian assault has begun. Blasts ringing out across the country.
Russia has invaded Ukraine.
It has been characterized by a flagrant disregard for civilian life and frequent war crimes. According to the UN, at least 16,000 civilians in Ukraine have been killed or injured.
There are reports of heavy casualties.
Explosions were heard in Ukraine's capital, Kyiv.
Millions have been forced from their homes.
And here in Kharkiv.
The war's toll has been devastating for all people in Ukraine.
And there are reports of hundreds of explosions in Mariupol tonight.
But the impact on older people is often overlooked.
Їй 77 років. Одинока жінка, яка втратила сім'ю ще раніше.
An Amnesty International investigation has revealed how issues such as disability, poverty, and age discrimination have been exacerbated by the war and put older people at even greater risk. Nearly a quarter of Ukraine's population is over 60 years old, making it one of the oldest countries in the world. According to the United Nations, nearly one-third of Ukrainians have been displaced by the conflict.
Там было все сгорело у меня. Вот там я пряталась, да, в этом ямке можете сфотографировать.
While millions of older Ukrainians have fled their homes, many feel compelled to stay.
Вот я залажу и тут.
Even if this means living in harrowing conditions.
Да, я и тут могу, и в ванне ночую.
Серьезно?
Да, хорошая постель, видите, тут у меня.
They often live without power, heating, or anywhere to sleep. These war-stricken homes often have damaged roofs or windows, or are completely destroyed. Many are located close to the front line, where older people continue to be put at risk. According to the UN, people over 60 years old made up 34% of people killed, and 28% of people injured from February to September 2022. This is significantly more than other age groups.
Це мій дім. Нас обстріляли мінами 120-го калібру. Дві міни попали в дім. Прийшлося пережити страх. Божий страх.
Staying at home can be deadly for older people. But fleeing and living in displacement also creates huge risks for them, and poverty only makes this worse. Almost all the older people Amnesty spoke with had owned their homes before the war. Those forced to flee their homes now face skyrocketing rents. Pushed out of the private rental market, many older people have no choice but to go into a nursing home or other type of institution. This is particularly true for older people with a disability or other health conditions. Halina has cerebral palsy and uses a wheelchair. When Russian attacks approached her apartment block in the Donetsk region, Halina spent a month confined to the basement of her building.
Половина дома уехала раньше, чем... Поэтому я и перешла в подвал, некому поднимать было.
She relied on the support of a neighbor who planned to flee.
Он сказал, если начнутся события военные, я рисковать жизнью не буду. Значит, будете лежать в кровати, голодная и холодная.
Without neighbors to care for her, Halina was evacuated to a temporary shelter in Dnipro. Run by volunteers, it's become a lifeline for older people with disabilities fleeing the war.
Людей, которые к нам приезжают, это полностью практически лежачие, но они не могут позволить себе снять жилье и самим его оплачивать коммунальные услуги, аренду и питаться.
Sadly, due to a chronic lack of funds and a shortage of beds, Olga's shelter has had to move people such as Halina to a nursing home or similar institution.
В домах престарелых инвалидов до себя не поднимают, и они становятся лежачими.
It's vitally important for their mental and physical well-being that people with disabilities are given support to move about.
Чтобы и можно было прогуляться, и телевизор посмотреть, что-то пообщаться.
The Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, which both Russia and Ukraine have ratified, guarantees the full inclusion of people with disabilities, as well as older people with disabilities, in the community. As of July 2022, at least 4,000 older people have been placed in state institutions like nursing homes. While Ukraine's policy to place older people in institutions is well-intentioned, it can lead to their neglect and abuse. Since filming, Halina has been moved into a care home. And once people such as Halina enter an institution of any kind, it is extremely difficult for them to leave. Older people in Ukraine face a triple threat: disability, health conditions, and poverty. But Russia's invasion has exacerbated this, making older people one of the hardest groups hit by the conflict. Amnesty has made recommendations to Ukraine that address these key issues. But the burden should not be Ukraine's alone. The international community needs to step up monitoring of older persons' rights and provide more targeted humanitarian assistance. Ultimately, Russia needs to end its bloody war. But for now, at least, it must stop its flagrant violations of international law and allow humanitarian aid in occupied areas.